Seen spooked by the punching power. Oh! There it is! Poor fundamental habits.
Oh, look at this! Little showboat, trying to draw him in and then firing off.
Told you, defense got to be on point when you're facing Inoue. And here he is, showboating a little bit.
That was the moment that got the
crowd's
crowd's
right
attention.
there.
You think you can gain Inoue's respect?
I think I've got to gain his respect. I punch respectable enough to gain people's respect.
That's it. He's here to survive. He's not letting his hands go. He fears the punching power from Inoue. Look at Inoue, he's having fun. This is the undisputed championship of the world, and Inoue is just, this is a sparring session for him.
I'm not afraid of no man.
You're going to see big things from me in the ring. Come to me. Come to me.
If you've watched enough Naoya Inoue fights, you already know the pattern. The opponent stands across the ring from a 5'5" guy who looks like he should be in a different sport entirely, and they convince themselves that this is the night the monster finally gets his first loss. They talk trash, they showboat, they fool around like they've already won. And then Naoya Inoue, quiet, composed, almost bored looking, takes their confidence and turns it into a highlight reel. That's the story of a lot of Inoue revenge videos we usually see online. The challenger gets cocky, the monster stays silent, the monster wins. But today, we're doing something different, because there have been nights when Inoue himself decided to get cocky. He lowered his hands, invited opponents to punch, switched stances, stood right in front of the adversary, and played with them. Then sometimes, he looked like he was daring them to prove him wrong. The crazy part? He actually backed it up.
Finish him! Fatality!
Stay until the very end, because the final action here is one that many Inoue fans may have completely missed. But let's start now with this fight, where Inoue's confidence became impossible to hide. Paul Butler entered the fight with one job: survive. He was a champion, but Inoue was hunting history. The Japanese superstar already held 3 of the 4 major bantamweight belts. All he needed was Butler's WBO title to become undisputed, and Butler knew exactly what kind of danger he was facing. So instead of engaging, he went into survival mode. High guard, backwards, minimal exchanges, and Inoue, he became increasingly frustrated. So eventually, Inoue stopped pretending this was a normal fight. He lowered both hands. He stood in front of Butler. He even gestured for Butler to come forward. At one point, he essentially challenged him, as if saying, "Come on, make this a fight." It was classic Inoue arrogance, except this wasn't empty showboating, because while Butler was refusing to engage, Inoue was still completely in control. He switched stances. He even used the Ali shuffle and Roy Jones's famous behind-the-back taunt, moments that excited the commentators whose remarks you can listen later. He dropped his hands, and Butler still generally couldn't find the courage or the opportunity to take the bait. He's really afraid to go toe-to-toe against the monster. Then Inoue finally got tired of playing. He pulled the accelerator. A devastating combination was unleashed, and Butler was finally finished. The man who had been invited to punch Inoue couldn't survive Inoue's punches. That night, Inoue didn't just become undisputed. He proved that even when he was showing off, he was still the most dangerous man in the ring. Now, watch and enjoy the rest of these highlights and see just how cocky Inoue became once the fight was underway.
Puts up this third round with a combination. Butler's in that corner and desperately needs to get out. He has that left hand up, but Inoue
To occupy that space in front of him, he's just
in the hands of Inoue right now. Butler has the WBO. I was a world champion for the first time, and now that's what he wants tonight, is to have it come full circle on a night when he tries to become an undisputed world champion.
Tess. Inoue is trying every every trick in the bag. He switched southpaw. I knew he can fight from the southpaw position. He hasn't done it that often in his fights, but he changed southpaw just for a little bit. Now he's posturing in front of Butler, trying to get him to open up.
He does for a moment, And Inoue would invite that, looking for an opportunity to land his power shot. Now a little bit of a shuffle before he sends off a three-punch combination. Inoue could use a more aggressive, a more willing Butler to create his own opportunities. Double jab, right hand to the body from Inoue.
Butler, I don't think is here to win tonight. I think he's just here to survive. That's it. He's here to survive. He's not letting his hands go. He fears the punching power from Inoue. Look at Inoue. He's having fun. This is the undisputed championship of the world, and Inoue is just, this is a sparring session for him.
Champion in boxing history, the first undisputed bantamweight champion in the four-belt era.
What did I tell you?
Yep.
What I tell you, try to get him to open up, but Butler's not taking the bait.
Hands down around the waist, sitting right in the pocket.
And Inoue is going to be willing. He's going to have the willingness to get hit just a little bit more.
Three-punch combination from Inoue, finishes with the left hand. Lead right to the body.
Inoue is getting bored. He said, come on, man. Come on.
Make a fight out of it.
Yeah.
Pop jabbing off the hip. Winding up and flexing.
Too easy, Tess.
Far too easy.
Too easy. Good combination right there from Butler.
Ali shuffled. A duck out to the left. Double jab right hand.
See, Butler has Inoue right where he wanted to. Beautiful left hook down to the body. He saw that Inoue was relaxing after his combination, and he finally came in behind with his own combination to land on the champion Inoue.
Look at this.
Uh-oh.
Hands behind the back.
He hit him with the Roy Jones.
Then he comes forward.
He hit him with the Roy.
Got to do something. I mean, if Butler's not going to throw then, when are you going to throw?
Butler is content with just going the distance. He can say, hey, I went the distance with Inoue. That's it. Nothing more.
And Wade comes out fighting.
Yes, I'll let you know right now. I'll be happy if I don't ever see Butler ever again. He's not even contending in this fight. I'm just flabbergasted. I don't even know what to say.
Championship rounds here for undisputed status at 118 pounds. On the line, Butler's WBO strap. It has been a clean sweep for Naoya Inoue here in Tokyo. Right hand to the body is a good one. And a big right hand that comes in. Great work from Inoue.
But Butler wasn't the first opponent to see the attitude that reflects a cocky side of Inoue. Years earlier, Antonio Nieves found himself standing across from a much younger monster. Inoue was already a world champion, but he was still building the reputation that would eventually make him one of boxing's biggest stars. Nieves was supposed to test him. Instead, Inoue started testing Nieves. There were moments when Inoue deliberately lowered his guard and stood within range, not because he had forgotten how to defend himself, but because he wanted to show Nieves, I know you can't hurt me. And that distinction is important. There's a difference between being careless and being so confident in your timing that you deliberately give your opponent an opening. Inoue was doing the latter. He was reading Nieves' attacks, making him hesitate, and whenever Nieves tried to take advantage, Inoue was already gone. Then came the punishment. Body shots, hooks, straight punches, until Nieves' corner had seen enough. After knocking down Nieves, you're about to watch some of the other badass highlights from Inoue in this fight before the stoppage, including two of the cockiest actions we've ever seen from the monster inside the ring.
Here Inoue has it ready to go to the body. Yep, there it is. The body. Listen to the sound when those left-hand body shots land. That is a thud. You can hear that all over the arena here at the StubHub Center. Elo Alvarez against Shane Mosley. Over and over and over. The sledgehammer left to the body.
You can see Nieves is keeping that right hand glued to his side right there. That's why you got to switch it up. If you want that shot, you got to go away and then come back to it.
And with the chance to put on a show now, Inoue is doing so as he lifts his hands to let the American audience know, yes, I'm a star. I know I'm a star. You're going to see big things from me in the ring. Come to me. Come to me. I'm ready for the knockout right now.
The referee has to keep a close look on Nieves in a minute.
Canvas, the contest is over. It's not a contest anymore. Nieves came in with a record of 17-1-2. His first loss in the last fight will
get worse as this fight progresses.
One right hand to the body.
From Inoue right.
What a vicious shot.
Did Nieves need the last 50 punches that landed? The nose is bleeding now, and who knows what's going on internally in his rib cage.
The fight ended after 6 rounds, and once again, the invitation never became an opportunity. But perhaps no fight better showed the fine line between Inoue's supreme confidence and outright cockiness than his showdown with Luis Neri. Even before the opening bell, and once the fight began, Inoue's demeanor, gestures, and body language seemed to suggest that he was almost too confident in his own abilities. He wasn't simply looking comfortable. He appeared to be sending a message to Neri, "You can't hurt me." But then came a moment that nobody saw coming. Inoue's confidence may have cost him dearly in the opening round. Neri caught him with a devastating shot and dropped the monster for the first time in his professional career.
Neri right now doesn't seem spooked by the punching power. Oh! There it is!
And suddenly, the atmosphere inside the Tokyo Dome changed completely. There was also an eerie historical connection. The same venue had witnessed one of boxing's greatest upsets decades earlier, when James "Buster" Douglas shocked the world by knocking out the seemingly unbeatable Iron Mike Tyson. For Inoue, however, this night would have a very different ending. Unlike Tyson, the heavily favored champion would not suffer a historic upset. Instead, that first career knockdown seemed to wake Inoue up. But here's what made it so remarkable. He didn't become cautious. He became even more aggressive, and somehow even cockier. And incredibly, the monster even laughed after getting back to his feet, showing that the knockdown had done little to shake his confidence. Rather than backing away from Neri, Inoue answered the knockdown the only way he knew how. He sent Neri crashing to the canvas.
When Inoue commits, he's out of position.
Oh,
there it
and
is.
Inoue returns the favor!
And by the 4th round, Inoue's confidence had reached another level. He began taunting Neri, showboating, and inviting him to engage and trade punches with him. It was the kind of behavior you simply don't expect from someone who had just been knocked down for the first time in his career. And the commentators could barely contain themselves. The more Inoue showed off, the more hyped they became.
Buffing him up right now. He's just taking advantage of those poor fundamental habits.
Oh, look at this! Little showboat, trying to draw him in and then firing off.
Again, told you defense got to be on point when you're facing Inoue with the speed, power, and accuracy that he brings to the table. Neri is taking these shots well, though, Tess. But for how long? That's my question. For how long can he take these shots coming from Inoue?
Neri suffering the 5th knockdown of his career earlier tonight. It came when he lunged in, overextended. Inoue met him with the short left hook. See him testing that a few times moments ago.
Starting to be an Inoue massacre, straight left, right hand, right down the middle, right between the seam. Great execution right there from the champion, and that's the shot I'm talking about. He's trying to soften up Neri with straight shots up top to be able to come around, and here he is, showboating a little bit.
That was the moment that got the
Good shot
crowd's
right
attention.
there.
But Inoue wasn't finished. By rounds 5 and 6, the monster was fighting with complete command of the ring, dropping Neri again and again, while looking increasingly confident with every exchange. The man who had been knocked down in round 1 was now hunting Neri down. and eventually, that confidence turned into a brutal conclusion. Inoue stopped Neri in the 6th round, turning what briefly looked like the beginning of a nightmare into another statement victory.
Nearly connected with that left hook. That's perhaps an opportunity for Neri, but with that comes great risk. Like that!
There it is.
There's the risk with no reward! Under 30 seconds to go, facing one of the great closers in recent boxing history. Here comes the monster. Right hand! Stood up to it for the moment. Inoue on the attack.
That much power. It's brilliant stuff right there from Inoue.
Just stands up to that offensive effort from Inoue, from Neri, and fires back. Oh, his right hand! Combination up top.
This almost over, Tess. Neri can't keep taking these type of shots over and over and over.
What do you see as a potential finisher here, Tim? There's the right hand! He just answered the question! As Neri has crumbled and the monster has roared! He's done it again! Completely over-delivers on all the expectations.
He had entered the fight looking almost too confident. He got dropped for the first time in his career, and somehow that only made him more confident. This time, though, Inoue backed up the cockiness. Now, a lot of fans already know about the tension surrounding the team of Stephen Fulton before his fight with Inoue, especially the accusations and controversy surrounding Inoue's hand wraps. But there was another side to this story that many may have missed. Just look at Inoue during the weigh-in face-off. Usually, this is the moment when Inoue shows respect to his opponent. He often stands there quietly with that almost emotionless expression on his face. But this time, something looked different. Inoue's stare was intense. His expression was cold, with facial terrifying look, usually shown by arrogant boxers before the bout. His demeanor almost seemed to say, "I'm here to hurt you," for a fighter normally known for being respectful and reserved. This was a very different-looking Naoya Inoue, and once fight night arrived, that confidence only became more obvious. Even during his ring walk and in the opening round, Inoue was already carrying himself like a man who knew exactly how this fight was going to unfold. At times, he dropped his hands, inviting Fulton to attack, a gesture we had already seen from Inoue against the featured opponents here.
Inoue starting off like that. Good jab.
Very solid jab.
It's on point tonight.
Versatile offensive attack, as always, from Inoue. Now goes upstairs with it and follows Fulton back to the ropes before the connector of food.
Taking advantage of that movement. You know, Fulton thought he was clear, thought he was going to get on his bike, and Inoue chased him down, cut him off.
Then came round 2. Inoue shook his head after Fulton's attacks, almost as if to say, "That's all you've got?" And then he started playing with him.
So a lot of those shots are blocked. But you can tell the effect of those punches. You see Fulton, even though he's the...
There was a moment where Inoue used a showboating move remarkably similar to the one he would later use against Luis Neri, almost as if he was teasing Fulton right in front of him.
Inoue.
Fulton steps forward, Inoue backs off. You can see how calm and Incan steps forward, Inoue backs off. You can see how calm and Incan steps forward, Inoue backs off.
But what made it even more impressive was that Inoue wasn't sacrificing his precision to showboat. He was still timing Fulton, still landing shots with pinpoint accuracy, still controlling the action. It was almost as if Inoue was telling Fulton, "I can play with you and still beat you." Inoue wasn't just beating Fulton, he was disrespecting his power, his skill set, and his entire resume in real time.
Speed to close. All of a sudden, he's in that middle range, and you're in the target zone against Inoue. Here.
In fact, Timothy Bradley noticed it too. During the 3rd round, Bradley pointed out that Fulton needed to do something to earn Inoue's respect, and you could see exactly what he meant. Inoue's facial expressions his gestures, the way he stood in front of Fulton, everything suggested an extraordinary level of confidence. At this point, it was starting to look less like Inoue was simply beating Fulton and more like he was making a statement.
Nice level changing jab right there in exchange. A jab for a right hand and a left hook for Inoue. Not a whole lot of damage done, but that right hand right there to the body.
Then round 4 began, and Inoue came out looking absolutely energized. He was brimming with confidence.
How it has defined him in so many ways. You see the total body punches Inoue with an 11-2 advantage. He has been increasing his work rate as the fight has moved around in the early stages, as he comes with 2 right hands to open up this fourth.
And even when Fulton finally landed a clean, solid right hand, Inoue didn't back off. He immediately fired back with combinations.
As an infighter.
Good right hand.
Right hand from Fulton.
Catching
as
Inoue,
Naoya
trying to get out.
Came straight back.
Bradley pointed out that Fulton was there, but he simply wasn't pulling the trigger, and that was a huge problem because Fulton was supposed to be the superior boxer. Instead, Inoue was outboxing him. The monster was faster, he was sharper, and he was dictating the fight. The commentators could hardly believe how easily Inoue was solving a fighter of Fulton's caliber, and Inoue seemed to know it. In the replay, you can even catch Inoue making a facial gesture toward Fulton after landing a solid 2-punch combination, almost like he was taunting him without saying a word.
It's about Fulton's jab. What I'm seeing is an extraordinary jab from Inoue, starting with...
Then came round 5. Inoue hit the accelerator. 3-punch combinations started flying at Fulton, forcing him to fight back, and Fulton actually answered with a good combination of his own, punctuated by a solid right hand. But Inoue's reply was immediate. Back-to-back right hands that reminded Fulton exactly who was really in control.
Oh, good combination from Fulton.
And that was off the subtle movement to his right. That's what he has to do.
And a right hand from Inoue as he returns fire. Another right hand from Inoue.
By round 6 and 7, the fight had taken on a completely different feeling. Inoue was dominating with such confidence that it almost looked like he was toying with Fulton, and the commentators sounded genuinely stunned, because this wasn't some overmatched opponent. Stephen Fulton was an accomplished, highly skilled boxer who was expected to give Inoue a serious test. Yet Inoue was making it look so easy. Even when Fulton managed to land a clean right hand in round 7, Inoue immediately returned the assault. No hesitation, no retreat, just another furious response. And that's what made Inoue's performance so intimidating. He wasn't simply winning, he was walking through Fulton's best moments, answering every bit of resistance with more aggression, more precision, and even more confidence.
On that side, I'm seeing him keep his head on that right side, right in the line of fire for that right hand.
There's good shot inside, coming wrapping around the guard with that right hand. And Inoue comes right back at him, returns fire immediately.
By now, Inoue looked completely convinced that Fulton couldn't stop him, and in round 8, he proved it. The confidence turned into a finishing assault, and Inoue finally stopped Fulton with a devastating combination. What started with an unusually intense face-off at the weigh-in ended with Inoue completely dismantling one of the best boxers he had ever faced.
Time to work here in round number 8. Fulton hurt badly. The monster on the attack, trying to claim 2 more belts as Fulton tried to grab the ropes, backed up into the corner. Here comes Inoue. That destructive, decisive power does it again. The monster.
Boxer, a versatile guy, and he made him look extraordinary. I'd never seen Fulton so tentative, and it was by a smaller guy.
And it was right away.
In December 2021, Naoya Inoue entered the ring as the defending unified bantamweight champion, putting his WBA and IBF titles on the line against Thailand's Undisputed, a challenger looking to pull off the biggest upset of his career. But from the opening round, Inoue's body language suggested that he was in complete control. At times, he would actually challenge Depayan to punch him, while mixing in a series of playful hand gestures that made it clear he wasn't treating the Thai challenger as a serious threat. And while Deepan tried to find his rhythm, Inoue continually punished him with terrific body shots, landing with remarkable accuracy and seemingly sending a message through every combination. There's levels to this. Inoue wasn't simply outboxing Depayan. He appeared to be toying with him while schooling him at the same time. After landing his trademark right hand, Inoue would occasionally make that familiar gesture we've already seen him use against other opponents in this video, almost as if to emphasize just how cleanly he had landed. And whenever Depayan did manage to get his punches off, Inoue sometimes seemed willing to let him have his turn, almost as though he wanted to make the fight more entertaining. But the moment Depayan stepped forward, Inoue would fire right back, cracking him with another sharp combination, often followed by an extra cocky gesture. As the rounds progressed, Inoue became even more comfortable. He would walk Depayan down with his hands low, showing virtually no concern about what was coming back at him. At one point, even before the bell, Inoue was seen playfully moving and manipulating his hands, adding yet another bit of showmanship to the performance. Everything about Inoue's reactions seemed to suggest the same thing. He simply didn't respect Depayan's punching power, and the deeper the fight went, the more Inoue's confidence seemed to turn into outright cockiness. By the 7th round, he was so comfortable that he even switched to a southpaw stance, something that only made the fight look even more like a private sparring session. It's no surprise that afterward, some fans described the performance as exactly that, a sparring session where Inoue was simply toying with the Thai challenger. But Depayan's night eventually came to an end. Inoue continued breaking him down until the 8th round, when the monster finally stopped him, closing out another dominant performance. Now, you can sit back and enjoy the rest of the cocky moments, extra gestures, hand tricks, and cute showboating from Inoue as he appeared to toy with Aaron Depayan.
入ってましたよ。完全に入ってましたよ。今左ボディ。そうですね。見えなかったはずなんですけどね。10秒切りました。第5ラウンドです。最後ボディで終わる。ジャブ、顔を触ってはいるんですが、スリーピングアウェイで流しています。井上、ガード下げてる。ジャブはまだまだどんどん欲しいですね、井上選手の。あ、そうですか。はい、もっともっと出してもいいと思いますね。ジャブです。ツール、押し込んだ。ボディ、今度アッパー、左ボディ。これはまだ耐えるか。ちょっと効いたかな。さあ、コーナーに角に追い込むか。いや、また逃げます。これありましたね。ここも見えています。右のオーリーパンチ、右のジャブも顔を触っただけ。前に出続けるチャンピオンワンツーボディ。サイドボディ。さあ、止まったか。放ちながらバックステップです。追っていくのがチャンピオン井上。あ、これスイッチ見せました。さあ、今度はステップ刻みながらです。また右足前の構えになります井上。スイッチした。これいろいろ試しているようにも感じます。ボディーブローから左のアッパー顔面に。ハンドル固めながら回り出てくる左フック。残りが1分になります。ボディーダウン。当ています。さあ追い詰めた。
In May 2025, Naoya Inoue entered the ring as the undisputed super bantamweight champion, facing Ramon Cardenas, a massive underdog who was expected to be another challenger, standing in the way of the monster. But Cardenas had other plans, and what happened that night turned into one of the most dramatic fights of Inoue's career. From the opening round, Inoue's confidence was immediately on display. At times, he would lower his hands in front of Cardenas, almost inviting the challenger to try something. He also mixed in several playful little hand gestures throughout the round, small movements that seemed to communicate just how comfortable he felt in the ring. Inoue settled into his rhythm, confidently jabbing and putting combinations together, while continuing to sprinkle in those extra cocky gestures.
Level fighters.
He understands the sweet science, one, and he understands the game that, hey, once I get there,
yeah, hey, listen, throw it. Here of San Antonio's Ramon Cardenas saying, watch that distance.
Then came the second round, and once again, Inoue's confidence appeared to go a little too far. Just like what happened against Luis Neri, the monster suddenly paid the price for his willingness to take risks. With only seconds remaining in the second round, Cardenas landed a devastating shot that sent Inoue crashing to the canvas.
But it's coming from. Ooh. Just off the mark with that right hand, Cardenas.
Inoue just turned
To compete against Cardenas.
Cardenas trying to turn over that sweeping left hook. There's Inoue with him against
The monster's down! The monster's down! Cardenas catches him!
It was shocking, but what made the moment even more remarkable was what happened afterward. Instead of becoming cautious, Inoue seemed to respond exactly the way he had against Neri, by becoming even more aggressive. It was almost as if he wanted to immediately return the favor. Against Neri, Inoue was knocked down in the first round and responded by dropping Neri in the second. Now, against Cardenas, he appeared to have the same mindset. You knocked me down? Then I'm coming for you. But there was a problem. Inoue's aggression also left him open to Cardenas's powerful counters. Commentator Timothy Bradley even expressed concern about Inoue's defense, because while the monster was throwing with tremendous intensity, he was also giving Cardenas opportunities to fire back. And despite being knocked down, Inoue continued to display some of those same playful hand gestures from the opening rounds, as if to tell Cardenas that knockdown didn't change anything.
Again!
That's another issue.
Doubles up the right hand!
Ooh! Right hand from the monster. Inoue comes forward on the attack. Oh! He is sitting on that left hand.
Then came the fourth round. Inoue bounced back in a huge way, attacking with renewed intensity, and after unleashing combinations, he could even be seen smiling. It was almost as though he was enjoying the chaos.
And Cardenas fires with return. Good right hand from Inoue. And now the accuracy is showing up. And the desire to have fights like this. Big round for Inoue. Oh, he's turning it on. Cardenas is covering up. And the monster is showing what he's about.
Then came round 5. Cardenas managed to tag Inoue several times, but the monster showed absolutely no fear. Instead of backing away from the man who had just knocked him down, Inoue walked him down. He wasn't afraid to trade, and when he connected, Cardenas felt it. Inoue hurt the challenger with powerful shots to both the head and body. At this point, Inoue looked determined to put a beating on Cardenas. He was throwing with such aggression that some of his punches became wild, almost as if he didn't care what Cardenas could fire back, and that made the fight incredibly dangerous.
Thudding right hand, and Cardenas
we heard him with that
back
shot.
to the body.
He heard him with a body shot.
Cardenas fires back to the body. He's got such heart in there. World title fight in the career of Cardenas, and something that is critical.
He heard him with that. He heard him with that.
Here goes the monster, and he's got a lot of time to work with. Away, unrelenting. Now Cardenas gives an angle, turns things around, and he comes swinging out. Cardenas has to gather himself now. Short left uppercut, just missed with the right. Comes with the left. Attack after attack to the body. Look at this punishment. Final seconds of round 6. This is the way it's supposed to look.
He's different.
By round 7, Inoue was still marching forward. At times, he was walking Cardenas down with his hands completely lowered, showing the kind of confidence that would be almost unthinkable against a puncher who had already put you on the canvas. But Cardenas made him pay for that aggression. He caught Inoue with several hard counters, proving that the danger was still very real. Yet for Inoue, the risk was about to pay off. He finally found the breakthrough he had been hunting for and knocked Cardenas down in the 7th round.
Possibly can, but finding out that there are offensive levels to this game. And when you go against Inoue, the level is different.
He broke his back chest.
Look at this attack here, halfway through round 7. Separation with the right hand, and that sends Cardenas back a few steps. And and another right hand. Oh, and he knocks him down.
Cardenas survived the round, but that knockdown seemed to give Inoue an even greater boost of confidence. And in the 8th, the monster came forward relentlessly, refusing to let Cardenas recover. The punishment continued until the referee finally stepped in. Inoue had stopped Cardenas in the 8th round. Once again, Inoue's confidence had nearly gotten him into serious trouble. But just like against Neri, getting knocked down didn't make him timid. It made him even more aggressive. And this time, that aggression eventually broke the man who had dared to knock him down. When Naoya Inoue faced Murodjon Akhmadaliev, he was taking on one of the most accomplished and dangerous challengers in the division. Akhmadaliev was a former unified champion, a fundamentally sound fighter with solid punching power and the experience to pose a serious threat. But once the fight began, Inoue appeared almost completely unfazed by what Akhmadaliev brought into the ring. Rather than treating him like the dangerous opponent he was supposed to be, Inoue seemed to simply toy with him. At several points, Inoue could be seen laughing at Akhmadaliev as if he was enjoying the exchanges rather than worrying about the punches coming back at him. He even invited Akhmadaliev to punch him, gesturing for the former champion to come forward and engage. There were also moments when Inoue showboated, using his gestures and movements to make it clear just how comfortable he felt in front of a fighter of Akhmadaliev's caliber. What made these moments even more striking was the apparent lack of respect Inoue showed toward Akhmadaliev's punching power. Instead of keeping a cautious distance, Inoue repeatedly stood his ground, played with him, and seemed completely relaxed under fire. His body language and expressions made the fight look less like a dangerous championship contest and more like a playful sparring session, except the man in front of him was a former unified world champion who was supposed to be one of the toughest challenges in the division. And the more Inoue toyed with him, the more impressive it became, because the cockiness wasn't coming from a fighter who was struggling to survive. Inoue was doing it while remaining in complete control of the fight. And now, you can watch the rest of these highlights as Inoue's playful confidence against Akhmadaliev became impossible to miss. So after 12 rounds, Inoue walked away with a lopsided unanimous decision victory, having thoroughly outboxed and, at times, seemingly humiliated a former unified champion who was expected to give him one of his toughest tests. When Naoya Inoue faced Marlon Tapales, both men were unified champions, putting their titles on the line with the undisputed super bantamweight crown at stake. Tapales was a proven world-class fighter with enough power and skill to make the fight a serious test. But from the opening round, Inoue showed little concern for the threat Tapales was supposed to pose. Early on, Inoue repeatedly challenged Tapales to throw, sometimes with a playful expression on his face. He also lowered his hands, just as he had against several other opponents in this video, and at times appeared to be toying with Tapales while still landing precise shots.
By Tapales, but that's what Tapales doesn't want to have happen. There's a left hand. Is that good? Inoue with that back foot, taking a step back, almost trying to get that looping right hand, almost that uppercut to Tapales' head when he leans in.
That way he lines his left hand up to get a chance to get, to shoot it down the pipe on Inoue. But when he's falling like that.
But in round 3, Inoue's cockiness became especially noticeable. He seemed to have little respect for Tapales' punching power, almost as if he had completely underestimated what the unified champion could do.
And Jamel, to your point, it looks like Inoue is baiting Tapales a little bit here.
Ooh.
Doubling and tripling up the jab is Inoue.
Nice jab.
Inoue displaying the right hand before throwing it.
Speed on those punches, and that's when the power really starts. That's when he really starts to generate power, because it all comes from the legs. But if you keep backing him up and offsetting him, you can prevent him from See? Look where Inoue is on foot. As long as he keeps his lead foot on the outside of Tapales' foot, he's always going to be in range to load up on that right hand, just like that again. And that's just good technique. And knowing when you're at in the ring.
Both men exchange glancing blows to the body. It's been a more measured approach from Marlon Tapales here.
Especially if you find your feet always getting caught up, just take a little half step back and then keep, circle to your right.
Then came round 4, when Inoue dropped Tapales, giving him the perfect answer to back up all that confidence. Tapales survived, but Inoue continued fighting with supreme composure, exchanging with him without showing any fear of Tapales' return firepower.
These are hard shots by Naoya Inoue. Big left hand to the head. Here comes Inoue, the monster. Left hand, right hand, Tapales is down. In the black and white, Karan Bhatia on the call, joined by Jamel Herring. The Ariake Arena in Tokyo, Japan is playing host to this matchup.
And in round 7, after Tapales managed to land a clean shot, Inoue responded with an especially cocky gesture, as if to say the punch had done absolutely nothing. He then dared Tapales to keep punching, adding even more playful gestures to the moment. Inoue wasn't just dominating a fellow unified champion, he was repeatedly daring him to hit harder, and then proving that he could handle whatever came back. And now, you can watch the rest of these highlights until the 10th round, where Inoue finally authored the stoppage.
Catching the shots with his left hand now. And he's turning. And he's having moments. He's probably been winning the round. Just got caught.
Big right hand.
Just got caught.
And again.
And you notice at times when he puts his hands up like that, Inoue would throw a shot and then he'll,
big right hand.
When Naoya Inoue faced Warlito Paredes, the fight lasted barely 2 rounds, but there was already a little bit of showboating from the opening round. Paredes was the first to showboat, taunting Inoue in round 1, but Inoue quickly answered with some cockiness of his own, showing that he wasn't going to be intimidated by his opponent's antics.
パンチは強いんだぞってことが威嚇してますね。右から左下が。やっぱり1ラウンドはね、よーく見た方がいいしね。
いいですこれ。放送席で今村田さん小さくうなずいてらっしゃいますが、
非常に動きがいいですね。
動きいいですね。
Then, in round 2, Inoue dropped Paredes and took the taunting a step further, gesturing and showboating as Paredes struggled to get back to his feet. Unlike Paredes, Inoue backed up his taunting. Moments later, he went back on the attack and finished Paredes for good. Paredes started the showboating, but Inoue had the final word.
踏み込んで打ってくるパンチに関しては、
はい。アームの上からですが、うわものすごい力強い。また右。立ち上がりますが
効いてるんじゃないですか。もう
ダメだ。これはどうか。続行可能か。ファイティングポーズを取ります。さあ井上尚弥倒しに行く。2ラウンドまだ2ラウンド。ワンツー左。
A lot of Inoue fans may have never seen this fight, and that's a shame because this exhibition gave us one of the most entertaining versions of the monster. There were no titles on the line and no official winner, but Inoue was so playful, cocky, and entertaining that this is a must-watch for any boxing fan, especially those who love watching Inoue have fun. A playful Inoue is simply a joy to watch, and by the end of this segment, you might just love the monster even more. His opponent was Daigo Higa, a widely respected former world champion, known for his aggressive style and knockout power. But despite Higa's reputation, Inoue looked completely comfortable from the opening bell. The first 2 rounds were fought with headgear, and Inoue immediately began lowering his hands, inviting Higa to punch and playing with him, all while his accuracy remained razor sharp. Even in an exhibition, Inoue's punches were landing exactly where he wanted them to. Then in the second round, Inoue pulled out another familiar trick. He repeatedly retreated with a playful, exaggerated backward movement, similar to the taunting sequence he used against Paul Butler. But the third round took the showboating to another level. The headgear came off. Inoue even switched stances and continued fighting with his hands low while throwing in playful gestures and movements. And throughout the round, Inoue could be seen smiling repeatedly, looking like he was genuinely enjoying himself. Now, sit back and enjoy the rest of Inoue's playful show of swagger in this round. Trust me, you're going to love watching this side of Inoue.
外します。背中を一瞬つけながら今顔面はうまく流しています。そしてああやって見せるんだから井上君も相当な余裕を持ってんだねこれ。畠山さんどうですか。ちょっと比嘉もガードか下げています。右届きません。原さんも風強いのと戦ったことないって感じですよね。うわーもう2つ3つ。おお。です。逆直に前に出てきました。当たりません。当てさせません。井上残り30秒切りました。この2人の戦いが見られるのはもうあと24秒。アッパーで出る左フック笑ってる答えています。この押しうわー強烈だ。いいやっぱりですね。入ってますね。比嘉君の突進力がいいですよね。比嘉は切れません。すごいな諦めないよね。切れません。さあ残り10秒です。ワンツー入れません。世界狙いやつは違うな。右ストレート入れました。この2人の戦いが最初で最後なのか、それともまだ先があるのか。
It was an exhibition, so both fighters' hands were raised at the end. But for Inoue fans, the real winner was the entertainment, because this was the monster simply having fun.